Hey, don't you bite me. What's up, guys? What is going on? Me and JD are back, and we have brought a special guest along with us, a good friend of ours, Jake the Snake. What up, Jake?
The Snake.
What's going
What's
on,
going
guys?
on, man?
Thank
How
you
you
so
doing?
much for inviting me here on the show. I'm doing really good, man. Just up and out on a beautiful afternoon here in the Vegas Valley. I'm literally driving past this giant Roomba since that'll be the biggest game tonight with the Ravens and Raiders, and it's going to be a packed house tonight. So, man, what a wild week one. It's been great.
First and foremost, guys, welcome I-90 Sports Nation. What's up, guys? Episode 8 coming at you. Banging them out, man.
Hell yeah.
So what a wild week one we had, boys. Wild week one.
Depressing and wild. Absolutely.
We got to see some rookie quarterbacks show off what they could do. And we're going to start on the East Coast, and then we will work our way west. So let's start it off with the Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. Now, this game was interesting. I was at this game personally, so I kind of got to see how I think you get a better look at how the game goes and the ebb and flow of it if you're actually sitting there watching it as a fan.
Definitely.
Because I don't think that's what TV doesn't. That's what the TV doesn't sometimes can't like show the ebb and flow of the game and just the momentum, and it's a different aspect of it. But I have some good and bad points for this game, and then I'll run them down for you guys, and then I will ask what you thought of it. So Pats versus the Dolphins, the good points to me, the run blocking from the offensive line, Damian Harris, Jonnu Smith, Mac Jones, and Nelson Aguilar. Those are the standouts and the I think what the Pats did very well in that game. The bad points, the inconsistent play calling on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive. I think the Patriots were good for one drive and then very mediocre for others. And then they would show up and then they wouldn't. It was a very up and down, back and forth when it came to the play calling. There were a lot of head scratching moments, 3rd and 8s where they would run off tackle with James White. And I think that's kind of a head scratcher, because if you're going to run off tackle, you have Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris to do that. So.
Absolutely.
And then the next one, running down the pass blocking from the offensive line. Mac Jones was taking hits all game. He was taking hits all game, and that's concerning because the line was supposed to be one of the better points of this team, and it seemed like the communication, at least in the passing game, was at times very spotty. And to see Mac Jones take hits like that was concerning. The next one I would have to say both of these next 2 points have to do with the defense, and it's the linebackers, because the Patriots in the middle of the field on defense got absolutely eaten alive by Miami. They gave Tua the middle of the field the whole game, and he took it. He took it. They gave it to him the whole middle of the game. They let Tua work in that 12 to 16 yard range, and he absolutely torched the Pats. And then the last but not least was the inconsistent pass rush from the Patriots. So let's start with the guest today. Jake, what do you think? Do you think the Pats have problems, or what do you think?
I think this was kind of just a start for them. First of all, you're starting a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, who, as you could kind of see from play-by-play, very systematic. I think he's kind of somebody that's to the book that Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels puts together. But I thought was very impressive. He shows you that he's very accurate of the football. He'll execute the spots when any of his open receivers are there. And of course, there were a couple of sloppy plays, as you mentioned, that happened here and there. But I think this is just a start to seeing what the Patriots could do with a rookie quarterback, because we hadn't seen something like this in a while. So I'm sure Patriot fans are kind of new to this. Some I think have probably seen this years ago, but it's quite a refresher. But I thought Mac Jones and Nelson Aguilar looked really good today or yesterday.
Very.
So
That chemistry is encouraging. They looked very good.
yeah, and it's funny you brought the point about the linebackers against Miami's offense, because you think of Chase Winovich, you think of Kyle Van Noy, who comes back to New England. That's going to be something they're going to need to address to fix up, because I thought that was a mess on the linebacking core. We still saw exactly the same clutch secondary that we thought we would with with New England. But it is a start for week one. It's pretty unpredictable at times, but I think this is going to be a team that's going to get better over time.
Absolutely. A lot of the issues that I did see with them are definitely correctable, coachable, correctable. Nothing that was like, oh man, this is going to be a problem for the rest of the year. It was just stuff that they definitely do need to correct.
Yeah, there was a lot of adjustments that needed to be made, but they wanted to see how they performed in week one. And I think the way that they're processing is they're pretty slow, but they're a type of team that works every week. So they're going to work on certain things, fix up a little bit of certain plays that may have been miscued, and then they're going to get better by each week, so that way then they master the playbook.
Oh yeah,
All
man,
right,
that was
JD.
very good assessment. I agree with pretty much everything Jake had to say. And to add on to it, I would say that this game to me said a lot more about Brian Flores than it did in his defensive scheme than it did about the Patriots or their offensive scheme. I think that Mac Jones. See, here's what Mac Jones is doing, and here's what Josh McDaniels is doing. You ever gone to the pool on a really warm day, and it wasn't warm earlier in the week, but you want to go to the pool, when you kind of dip your feet in a little bit. That's what they were doing with the playbook. They're kind of dipping their feet in a little bit. They were seeing what they could get away with. They were seeing what Mac was good at, basically. And I think that it just said a lot about Brian Flores' defense, that they weren't going to allow them to do anything funny. And it was a grinding game, man. It was a good game. And to add on to your point, Bobby, about being at the game, when you're at the game, you're immersed into the energy of the team or both teams. So you can feel the momentum swing left and right, whereas on TV, it might come as a surprise when the momentum swings. So that's how I would describe that. And it just says a lot more about Flores to me than Mac or anyone else.
So let's kind of focus on the good points first. The run blocking. So let me give you some numbers here, Pats Nation. The run blocking and the offense overall was pretty good for the Patriots. So let me rifle off some numbers to you guys, to you, JD, and I want to get your opinions on them. So Nelson Aguilar, 5 catches, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. Damian Harris, 23 carries for 100 yards. Mac Jones, Mac 10, Mac Daddy, QB1, 29 of 39, 74.4%, 281 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, no fumble.
Excellent.
James White, 10 carries, 61 yards. Now, with those stats, you'd think the Patriots would have won that game. If I gave you those stats and said,
sure,
do you think the Pats won that game or lost that game? They should have won that game with stats like that.
Well, here's what I would say in contradiction is I would say that 70%, I'm not saying that Mac Jones played amazing for a rookie, absolutely amazing. But if you give 70% to Tom Brady, he's probably throwing down the field more, probably scoring more touchdowns. So like it goes back to like getting McDaniel's feet wet. That's how I see it. It's like they weren't able to push the envelope, or they didn't feel comfortable pushing the envelope too much, and that might be why they lost, because Flores took advantage of some turnovers.
They also keep in mind they did also have 2 fumbles.
Yeah, that's true, and
that turned into points.
That's gonna kill you. Yeah, that's definitely. I'm sure Belichick's not happy about that.
Now, one thing I would like to talk about is when they did use the 2 tight end set. And they didn't use it much, and I think we didn't get to see. There's 2 reasons why I think we didn't get to see a lot of the 2 tight end set with the Pats, and one of them is both of those guys were missing in preseason, so they didn't get to play a lot. They didn't get to a lot of practice time together to mesh. And then the other thing is I think they're going to come out and I think they're going to use a lot of it. And I think they don't want to show their hand in the first game on how they're going to run that offense. But I do think we are going to see, because when Jonnu Smith was given his opportunities, he took full advantage of them and made some excellent plays and excellent catches to keep drives going, and just really showed out. He played very, very well. So I think that is why we saw kind of that vanilla, watered down look from them. But what do you think, Jake? Is it a Belichick thing to do that?
I think it's half and half, because at times, Belichick is the type that, like, when you look at from a blocking standpoint, he wants everybody on the front line of the offensive line to be protective at all costs, because they want to protect the quarterback. At the same time, when it comes to the tight end sets, you're either going to have someone who's going to be a really good clutch blocking tight end, and also one that's going to be a very pass-catching tight end. So I do think it was slow as well, and you're right, because the fact of they were missing up at times in preseason. So I think they're still trying to get used to each other. They're still trying to figure out the playbook with 2 tight end sets. But I do expect Bill Belichick to implement a little bit more of 2 tight end sets more often than I think that we would most anticipate seeing all throughout the season. So it's going to take some time, but I think at the end of it, you're going to see production out of Jonnu Smith. You're going to see production out of Hunter Henry. It just takes time of it. I know kind of the skeptic of it, especially being a Charger fan, seeing Hunter Henry, it's slow with him. So that's where I can kind of see why they did that in the middle of the game.
Now, I do want to ask you a question about Hunter Henry. Knowing that you've seen that you got to see him play, this is Patriots Nation kind of first taste of him on the field. And what is Hunter Henry going to bring to the Pats?
I think Hunter Henry, you're going to expect him to bring some really good production. And I think ultimately what happened, because you think of the rookie season he put up, he was a guy that was coming off of a year where it's a pass the torch moment from Antonio Gates to Hunter Henry. And at times you'd see Phillip Rivers where he was productive of throwing the football to Hunter Henry. You're going to get a real good passing, a pass-catching tight end in the middle of it. And I also do think you're going to have somebody who's also going to be utilized on a pass-blocking situation, if not run block. He's a good-built kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and at the same time, the only thing that is on everybody's mind and their worries is, can Hunter Henry stay healthy? That was the problem that had happened with Chargers. He was missing a lot of on-the-field opportunities and even in the games. But I think with a Patriots team, new fresh look for him, new change of scenery, I think this is where I think Hunter Henry, you're going to see the upside of him pass catch majority of the time. But they are going to utilize him when it comes to run block.
I think Henry's a hell of a player.
You're saying a little bit of he can. So you're saying he's a versatile guy that can do both block and catch.
Yeah.
And we all know how Belichick likes versatility, and he likes versatility and availability. If you can do a lot and you're available to do it, that's a Belichick guy.
Absolutely.
JD, what are your thoughts?
Hunter Henry, and just the double tight end set.
Tight end set in general.
Well, I think that it might take the whole team a couple of practices, and like you said, if they weren't all together, it might take them a little while to get that going. And it's just one of those things where you got a rookie, you're trying to get him as much information as possible. But I think they want him to master the basic playbook before they start throwing extra things on his lap. They want to make sure he can, do all the little things right first, and then they'll try to get tricky with it. And once they do, I think Mac Jones, I do think Mac Jones he seems like not only accurate enough, but sharp enough. And I think he's capable of running that offense and doing it successfully. I don't know about the tight ends themselves. I guess we'll just have to see about that. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. You never know how well players are going to play well together. And tight ends are like roller coasters, man. Like their performance, like Gronk had 2 touchdowns last night. He was projected to have 5 points on fantasy. He had 2, or not last night, 3 nights ago, or whatever it was. He had 29 points. So, like, you never really know about tight ends. It's all about the scheme and the chemistry and a bunch of other factors that are very much behind the scenes.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, I have another question for both of you that I want to get both of your opinions on. Can Damian Harris be 1,000-yard running back this year?
Want to go first, Jake? Yeah, you take.
Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, that's tough because I really do like Damian Harris, but I think, to be quite honest, I think he's going to fall himself short. He's going to try to get that 1,000-yard rushing, but I feel like he's going to fall short because, he's a really good kid that I think when it comes to an offensive line that provides the run block and at the same time provides those open lanes for Damian Harris to run through, you kind of have to think about the matchups you're going to deal with throughout the season. When I looked at the Patriots' schedule as well, you're looking at a couple of games through in the season that are going to be some pretty good superior run blocking defenses. They're going to try to stop the run.
We face a lot of good defenses with good fronts. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where I think it may be the challenging part right there for Damian Harris. It's not to say it's not possible, but I do think it's not going to come as easy when you're facing off against certain teams that may have rebuilt themselves to a better run defensive front. And, and especially like we saw here in this case with Miami and Brian Flores, not going to be that very easy to get through to certain defenses with schematics like that.
Absolutely. What do you think, JD? Can he do it?
You kind of changed my mind there. I was actually going to say yes, but actually I think no. And I have a different reason than Jake provided, but that's very apt. I would say no, and the reason why is because Belichick doesn't need to, and the chat alluded to it. Karam says Pats have a heavy backfield. They have a lot of running backs, and Belichick uses whatever scheme he thinks is going to work, whichever running backs he thinks is going to work that week. You could have 3 500-yard running backs this year, but I don't see one guy going for 1,000.
Well, screw the both of you. He is. He's going to get 1,100.
What's the last guy? What's the last Patriot to go for 1,000?
Are you Lawrence Maroney?
I was going to say we both said
sorry about that. The inner Patriots homer in me came out for a second.
Hey, I'd rather have
Corey Dillon.
What were you going to say? Corey Dillon?
Corey Dillon, I think, was the last time they had. Yeah, Corey Dillon.
Not Maroney? Oh, wow. That was a long time ago, bro.
Lawrence Maroney? Come on, man. That dude was basura. He was trash.
Wouldn't you rather have 3 backs that can run for 500 than one that runs for 1,000?
Isn't that basically what New England does anyway?
That's another thing too, right? Like the chat has alluded to, that the Patriots have Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, James White, and J.J. Taylor if they need them. Like those are all capable of producing yards and points, in games.
I'd rather have 3 backs that combine for 2,000 yards from scrimmage. That would be nice. That'd be a good. I don't care if it's rushing or that'd be good for me.
Now I want to get let's kind of focus on the quarterback for a second here.
Okay.
I thought Mac Jones, the command at the line of scrimmage was pretty good. I do think he messed up. I counted 4 times where he should have audibled out. He should have called an audible and changed the play at the line. I counted 4 of them during the game where he might have not seen it or just, or Brian Flores disguised it good enough to where he didn't see it coming. But I counted 4 times in the game where he should have audibled out and he took a hit that was unnecessary. Now, that being said, when he did take those hits, he was able to still deliver accurate footballs. And I saw him twice do something that veteran quarterbacks do well, is throw guys open. He did it twice really well. Throwing guys open is a veteran move.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And another thing, Cam doesn't throw people open very well. That's an upgrade, in my opinion. He never has. He never really did.
You have to think of, in full honesty, when it came to Cam and trying to throw people open. Like, first of all, when you've got a lingering shoulder injury that what Cam had suffered, like Bobby, you and I talked about this all last year. That's where he lost majority of his accuracy. So at that point, you know what you're going to get with Cam Newton when it comes to situations like that. But to see Mac Jones toughen himself to those hits and then be able to make the plays, I mean, we saw it all over the league yesterday. Justin Herbert was able to do that. Even if he was under duress, he was going to throw darts down field.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Some of these young quarterbacks are going to end up going and learning. Yeah.
Now, we also talked about so his poise in the pocket was good. His ability to take a hit, deliver an accurate football was good. He did have a few times out of the 10 misses that he had, because he went 29 and 39. I counted 6 of them being his fault. 6 of them being his own fault. Just an off. He threw it where they, just a miscommunication, or they were on him. They were his fault. The other 4 were, I think there was a miscommunication between him and the receiver, and I think he was throwing to a spot, and I think it was on the receiver. But those are his 10 misses there. Is there the one thing that, like I said, the one I think thing that he needs to learn now, the chat alluded to it before, that maybe Belichick isn't giving him full autonomy at the line of scrimmage yet, where it's if you see something you don't like, kid, audible out of it. So my next question to both of you guys is, do you think that Bill was holding the kid back a little bit?
Go
ahead.
Yeah, in some cases a little bit. But yeah, because I do think that there's still some evaluation that they're still kind of doing with Mac. But I think at some point when they get I think as they get better week to week and they start to learn more and more of that playbook and still get kind of the feel of in-game situations, I think eventually you're going to see Belichick really going to start to kind of take the strings off.
Hey,
there we go.
Hey, by the way, can I just say something, Jake?
Yeah.
The fact that I see palm trees in your camera pisses me off. I fucking hate you for that.
Because it makes you want to come to Vegas so bad, don't you?
I hate you for that.
Hey, at least I'm not out. At least I'm not in Cali where it's always on fire.
I think you just changed from phone to Wi-Fi right there.
Yeah, I did.
Just changed the audio of the HD quality. Right there.
If you can put your. All right, so JD, until Jake gets better audio, we'll go with you.
I'm sorry, I forgot. What was the question? It was about. Does he have autonomy? Does he have autonomy at the line?
The basic question is: do you think Bill is reining in Jones a little bit to start the season and not giving him kind of full command at the line of scrimmage?
Yes, and I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary until he, like, there was reports that Mac was teaching Cam the playbook. Like, let's say that's true. It doesn't mean that Mac is a master of the playbook. It doesn't mean that he knows everything, and it also doesn't mean. I don't even know if Bill was comfortable with Tom Brady audibling half the time, bro. So so I definitely think he was reining him in at least a little bit. Bill's a control freak. Oh man. Oh, this might work. Nothing.
Jake, are you getting on your computer?
Yeah, I am actually.
All right. Well, I'm gonna boot your Las Vegas ass out of here, and then just come back in on your computer.
Oh. Yeah, I'm coming in quick.
Sounds good.
Hot.
All right. So there we go. All right, we're good. That's better. Look at you with the Macho Man Randy Savage sunglasses.
Hey, I do the look like Tatis, man. Tatis is the only person bringing it out.
So let me repeat the question. Do you think Bill is kind of got the reins a little bit on Mac, not letting him go full bore, right out the gate?
I think he does. I mean, ultimately, like he's still learning and understanding the playbook here and there. But I also do think that there are some things, like as you mentioned, that there were kind of a few mistakes that Mac Jones had, which every quarterback's going to go through all of that, where they're going to clean it up during practice and then get ready for next week. But I do think eventually, week to week, as Mac Jones gets better with his throws and at the same time gets better with the playbook, Bill Belichick's going to probably take the strings off bit by bit until he gets fully focused. He's ready to roll, and then he won't have to be like overly reliant, on the situation where he can actually let Mac Jones play his game.
Absolutely. Now, I have two or three more questions for you guys. Now, about the Pats, who is to blame for the inconsistent play calling? Is it or what looked like inconsistent play calling? Is it the players not executing to the fullest? Is it the coordinators just not calling a good game? Or is it Bill keeping the reins on and not wanting to tip his hand on how he wants to run his offense and defense for the season? Which one? JD, which one do you think?
Has to be the latter. I've never seen Josh McDaniels call a bad game. That's not something that he generally does. But it's probably a lot of everything, because you're feeling each other out. You know what I mean? It's just a new relationship. You don't know what you can get away with. So that's what I would say. It's raining. It's the reining in. It's the latter. Has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's I'm with JD on that one. I do believe that. I think it's a ladder and stuff like that as well. But again, like I said, everything is unpredictable in week one. But the more and more you kind of get into, like, let's say week 4, week 5, you should be able to figure out exactly how everything should be executed. And at the same time, everybody should be up onto the same page, including Josh McDaniels as well.
Well, you're both wrong. I wanted to kick Josh McDaniels in the balls for calling an inconsistent game.
What plays did you not appreciate exactly?
There were a lot of head scratchers to me. There was just a lot of head scratching moments. Now, I don't know if it was. I do think it was a very bland, very plain, very like unexotic game plan. They're like straightforward. I mean, that's always kind of been part of Bill's deal, where he doesn't like to tip his hand early in the season, especially to a division rival. Like, let's say we play Miami down in Miami later on in the year, and we're gonna we could possibly be in a wild card, in a bubble spot for a wild card, and we're gonna need that win. That's a win that we're gonna must have. that we're going to need. So that's going to be a must-have. And so it's kind of, I can see it from both ways. It was very frustrating watch because to me, you could see how the poise was from Mac Jones was there, that he could do more. He could do more. He could execute more. He looked poised enough in the pocket to do more. And it just looked like they were they had the reins on him for a lot of the game. Finally, like a halfway through the third quarter, I think Bill finally got a little bit more comfortable with him and let him throw to the tight ends and let him kind of loose a little bit. And he brought the Patriots back and played well. So I think there's a lot of upside to what we saw in that game. Even though the Patriots lost, there is a lot of upside in it.
I didn't think it was
lastly,
a bad game.
The defensive woes for the Patriots, I put it on the linebackers and the slow pass rush. I should say inconsistent pass rush, because at times they were very good. They gave Tua no breathing room at all. But it was just very inconsistent. Very, very inconsistent. There was some head scratching play, the way that they stunted and the way they blitzed on defense, which usually you don't see a Belichick team blitz very often, but they did do it this game. And I think they were executing the way they were, and the linebackers were playing. The linebackers got exposed. I think the linebackers got exposed a little bit because there's no Stephon Gilmore. You don't have your lockdown corner. You don't have your lockdown corner to take out Devontae, to take out Parker. You take Parker out of that situation out of Miami, who's left there to hurt you? Tua threw four or six excellent 18 to 20 yard balls to Parker that were perfectly thrown. And Parker made a couple of beautiful plays to keep drives alive. If that was Gilmore, that would have been, I think that would have been a different story. But I want to know what you guys think. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree on that. I think that there were a couple of mismatches and everything else. And at the same time, a lot of miscues that were happening here and there. But I think that does come with guys needing to step up whenever, you don't have your shutdown corner in Stephon Gilmore. So that's where I think that they're going to need to be better improved for that. But usually when it comes to this Patriots defense, there's always more room to improve, and everybody getting their opportunities to start taking advantage and start stepping up. I mean, you have to think about it. You just got newly acquired Jalen Mills from the Philadelphia Eagles that is plugging himself in. I thought he had a very fantastic
game. Yeah, Jalen Mills played phenomenal yesterday. Yeah, he played really well.
Yeah, that pass block that he had was phenomenal. The fact that he got all of himself out there to knock away that opportunity was really good. And I think that that's what the rest of the secondaries are going to start to work with, because you got to be able to stay steady on those one-on-one battles. I think that's what's the most important. But I do think that that's going to be something, as the weeks go on, that because again, that defense is going to give you something. They're either going to give you a few miscues or they're actually going to be shut down the other week. So it'll take some time, but again, I think it's more of just a next man stepping up situation when you're not without your star shutdown corner.
What do you think, JD?
This is how I would say. This is how I just thought about it a lot, actually, and I would say that Tua actually left a lot on the table too. I mean, he only threw for less than 60%. So I would be a little concerned if I'm the Patriots. I'd be a little concerned if I'm Bill Belichick, because not only did you have turnovers, but you didn't generate points, and your defense wasn't able to shut down a guy who supposedly that's funny. He's always supposedly not that good. Tua, I guess he's accurate, but a lot of people say that Tua doesn't understand certain.
They made him look a lot better than he really is.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying, is that I'd be a little concerned. I'd be a little concerned about that. What happens when you face a good quarterback?
Now the biggest concern for me wasn't that game. It's the games after the Jets. Look at the first 6 weeks that the Patriots have. There's a potential if they don't straighten the defensive issues out, that they could go 2-4 in the first 6 games.
Right.
That's
true.
That's the danger. That's what you worry about. You just proved my point, Jay. Oh, I read the comments. You guys are funny. You guys are goofballs.
But that's like that's a legitimate concern. It is. You should. I'm not saying hit the panic button yet. Like, don't press panic and go DEFCON 5. Red alarms going.
Make sure everyone's doing their job though.
But they definitely do, or they definitely did. Like, the defense did get exposed a little bit, and they need to. There's some stuff that absolutely has to be cleaned up. And the one thing that you saw in that Patriots Miami game that is not common for Patriots teams, offense and defense, they had 88 yards of penalties in that game.
Holy
and
crap!
Belichick and that type of stuff, that type of stuff where you don't play fundamentally smart football, and you're making mistakes like that. That drives Bill crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not what the Patriots have been about the last 20 years. And I think when you lose your actual leader, you got to rebuild that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, we're going to hop aboard the New England versus the world plane and fly probably about 1,000 miles east and landed in Chicago. And let's talk about the Bears game.
Oh, Lord.
JD, I want to get your initial, you being the Bears fan, I want to get your initial thoughts on the Bears game.
Oh my God, man. Frustration is the first word that comes to mind. Confusion too. A lot of confusion. I was defending Matt Nagy for like months, dude. I've been defending him for months. I've been sitting here like, oh man, Matt Nagy, he's a great coach. He brought us to the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. People are always trashing him, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I had nothing but good things to say about Matt Nagy. And then he pulls this shit. Like, what the hell was that? I don't even know what the hell that was. I mean, the play calling, I feel like he was pretending. That Andy Dalton was like, I don't even know who thought Andy Dalton was. He was trying to make these throws that I just don't see Andy Dalton ever making, even whenever Andy Dalton was with the Bengals, right? This is the best Andy Dalton I can remember. He had these big receivers. They would kind of do these hook routes. He'd have screens. There would be a good, strong running game. That, what I saw, was not the Bengals of like the 2010s. That wasn't the Bengals. That was like, I don't even know what that was. That was like an air raid offense or something with a little bit of mix of like option, or I don't even, there's so many different things that I saw. And that's not what Andy Dalton is. You know who is that type of quarterback though? And we actually have him on the roster. It's weird. And he actually played a little bit and scored a touchdown. Weird. It's crazy. His name's Justin Fields. He's sitting on the bench. And we saw a little bit of him. And then he looked really good. And then they just take him out. It's just the weirdest thing. I don't understand. It was so strange. It was just strange. It was the worst Andy Dalton I've ever seen, period. It was worse than when he was with the Cowboys. Anytime with the Bengals, it was awful. I don't know who Matt Nagy thinks Andy Dalton is, but that's not him.
Jake, what are your initial thoughts on that game?
What the hell was that? Oh my Lord. It was weird because
it was bad. It was bad, like bad.
But you know what though? I'm not completely surprised because of the fact of this is exactly what the type of performances you're going to get out of beige water pistol majority of the time. So it's like, it's just that, and I understood what the process was with, the Bears, because first of all, you're trying to groom up Justin Fields the best way possible. And I just truly think that right now with the way that the Bears are looking, you might as well just throw him out there. You might as well, because this is the funny thing. All 5 rookie quarterbacks this week scored touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's the only one I have a serious concern with that Bears offense, because at that point, somebody's not executing the job. The other worst part is this is how bad you see that they're desperate for Kyle Fuller. They miss him because at that point How does Cooper Kupp get wide open all the way downfield? Somebody miscued in the backfield. And then there's times where Robert Woods would end up getting open. And, it was just a tough game for them.
Played like crap.
Yeah, Eddie Jackson was
Hey,
not.
we'll get to that.
All right.
We'll get to that, JD. Believe me, I got some stuff I just want to feed you and get your instant reactions on.
Who is Eddie Jackson?
So let's stick to Fields for now.
All right, sorry. All right.
Once again, you and all of the Bears Nation everywhere get a little taste of what a Justin Fields offense would look like, and it's
we're not going to the Super Bowl, so just like our team sucks. Like the offensive line sucks, the defensive line sucks, the secondary sucks. We're not going to the Super Bowl. Put Justin Fields in there, let him fail until he's good, and then we'll be a good team again. I don't understand what the logic is anymore. Like at first I thought, okay, you put Andy Dalton in, but if you're not going to be conservative as hell when he's in there, if you're not just going to run the ball, which they did, okay, I'll give him a little credit. Montgomery played well. The inside interior line. I just think that you might as well do it at this point. You already teased it.
You kind of took your interior line, center and both guards played really, really good. The center and both guards played very, very well. Montgomery ran between the tackles really well. He had 108 on the ground.
He was good
for Montgomery. And he was by far, I think, one of the best players on the field for Chicago.
Well, and then you might as well, if you're going to have him run, you also might as well have Justin Fields, because then you're having, I don't know, that's just things that I feel like Matt Nagy made a promise to Andy Dalton, and he's taking that. And I get promises are important, but I think he's putting the promise over his like actual job, and he's not looking at the performance. And the performance matters, dude. Like, I don't care if I promise an offensive lineman, oh, you're the starter, man. If you suck and you just let him get sacked every time, you're going to get replaced, period. I don't care what I say.
You want to know what the funny thing of it is that even when I looked at that offensive line was horrible. I thought they would have looked much, much better than this.
I did too.
That's part of the reason why you probably want Fields out there to run out of those pressures.
So here's what I took out of the offensive line from Chicago. Like I told you, the interior of it played very well. Your center and both guards,
Cody Whitehair, and
played very, very well. Both guards and the interior linemen were not the problem. It was around the edges. Your tackle play in that game was terrible. They were awful.
We just cut somebody. I forgot who. Or something. Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah, so the offensive line not good. Now, there wasn't a lot of good coming out. Like, so the good point is that once again we kind of alluded to it earlier. We got a little Bears fans everywhere got a little taste of what that offense would look like if Justin Fields was running it, and it looked pretty good. And the other thing too that you could clearly notice, even though it was a very, very small sample size, Dalton looks lost when it comes to pocket awareness and being, just he doesn't look comfortable in a pocket anymore. And like we talked off camera, off show, JD, that if you know that like you're not going to be able to compete, and making the playoffs is a long shot, you know exactly what you get with Andy Dalton. He's been in the league long enough where you know what you're going to get out of him. You know what he is, what he brings to the table, what he's capable of, where his ceiling is. With Fields, you think you have an idea of what you can do with him, what the offense looks like, how you could use him. And you said it perfectly. If you know, if you know you're not gonna if you know you're gonna struggle in the division, you might as well give the kid a shot and kind of trial by fire and let him learn and let him take his lumps on the fly and just go with it.
Look at Justin Herbert. They had the worst or second or third worst offensive line in the league, and Justin Herbert came out there Last year. And he played really well. He was a rookie. And people talked crap about him in college too. They say, oh, he's not this, he's not that, he's not doing this. And he comes in, lights the league on fire. So far, every single time Justin Fields gets in, he looks like he's about to light the league on fire. And then Matt Nagy's like, no, stop. I need to put it in my red rocket.
I remember people did the same thing they did to Herbert to Fields. They talked down the pick. They were questioning whether Herbert's style of play would translate. Would they be able to translate it because of the Chargers, weak points, the O-line. But Herbert made it work.
I would have rather
made it work, and he absolutely tore it up. So,
like I said, quarterback rating of 99.6 under duress, in a terrible offensive line like that definitely shows you. Like, think about it this way. I mean, hypothetically, you look at certain situations where you deal with chaos. If this kid could literally do it with this much chaos, imagine what he would look like with a more stable, a much more stable structure and even a much more stable management. That's where I think that comes down to when you look at Justin Fields and this offensive line. If Justin Fields, like right now with an offensive line that's allowing pressures to come in, they're not executing their blocks. And Andy Dalton, I agree with you. The fact that he is a pocket type quarterback but can't run out of the pocket for nothing, that's where I think you're starting to see that of where they really need to make that initial move. And that's where Matt Nagy cannot afford to be conservative, because if he's much more conservative this year with his play calls, there's going to be a reason why he'll be on the hot seat too, along with Ryan Pace.
They'll crank the heat up on him. Absolutely.
Exactly. So at the same time, when it came to, Justin Herbert and Anthony Lynn was very conservative. And I keep saying, execute the plays and get aggressive. Why are we continuously playing safe way? Because that never works. That never worked against Tampa. That never worked against New Orleans. And it certainly never worked against New England. That's where I'm like, they got to stop getting conservative with this. Let him loose. Let him see exactly what the potential he has around him. And because I guarantee you, him and Allen Robinson will click. So
no doubt.
Give him those opportunities.
I think Fields is like literally the only chance that Matt Nagy even has left anymore to keep his job. Because at this point, I was the one defending him like a few weeks ago. And at this point, though, I would have rather had Nick Foles out there, because at least I know what Nick Foles is and what he's not. And I think that Nick Foles, there's a few down the field throws that I think Nick Foles would have made, and I don't think Andy Dalton could make. And that's the thing. If you're not good in the pocket, you're not a good thrower, and you're a statue in the pocket, what are you even there for? You're literally just a name that was good 6 or 7 years ago. Like, I don't want a name. I want someone who's going to be good now. And also, when I say that he's the only chance left for Matt Nagy's job, this is the way I see it. If Fields doesn't work out in the next 2 or 3 years, they're definitely going to get rid of him. For sure. No question. So you might as well just go all in and say, all right, Justin, you have my job. You have Ryan's job. And the thing is, I'm not looking forward. I don't want to get rid of Matt Nagy at all. I want it to work out, because I don't want to go back to the John Fox days. I don't want to go back to the what was his name? Tressman. I don't want to go back to those days anymore. I actually like Matt Nagy. I actually want this to work out, but I feel like he's screwing this up. I feel like it's pretty obvious. We all know what needs to happen, and he just doesn't want to go back on his word. And sometimes you kind of talk yourself into a corner, and that's not good, because this is the point where it's like, it doesn't matter what you think. This is what needs to happen. We need to put him in. And I actually agree. I think if he's not in by week 4, I'm going to start calling for his job. Just saying.
Let's transition from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball for Chicago.
Oh, good.
They struggled big time on the defensive side. Their pass rush took about 3 quarters to wake up, and by that time it was too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, so the slow pass rush was what they woke up about midway through the third quarter, finally. And the next point I was going to ask you, JD. So the pass rush being slow to kind of get going, and on top of that, I think Khalil Mack was running all over the field trying to do way too much than what he's normally asked to do. And the back end of it, Jackson specifically played hard. They ate him up all game long. So what do you think on those points?
You want to go first, Jake?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ultimately where, like I said, there were a lot of struggles that were happening within that secondary. And at the same time, I mean, Eddie Jackson was not playing his best. It clearly shows that Chicago was missing Kyle Fuller a bunch, because that was going to be your other shutdown secondary player that could have really, took down a lot of those passes. And it was surprising to me, because the only team that has faced Matthew Stafford several times within their division that you'd think they'd know, because at the same time, we didn't even see Stafford take snaps with the Rams team, not even in preseason. So it really questioned me. I wasn't sure how we were going to see Stafford perform, but I think it clearly shows. Has a better O-line, has a lot of better weapons, and is trustworthy when it comes to throwing the deep ball downfield and scoring big-time points. But that's where I think the rest of the Chicago's defense really needs to start to button up. I mean, everybody has to end up, stepping themselves up, because a defense like Chicago's that I thought would have been just fine clearly shows that there's still some holes that they need to fill in order for them to be that shutdown type defense they were.
I have no idea who Eddie Jackson is anymore. I don't even know who this man, I don't know, who's replaced him. This is a case of mistaken identity. This guy was one of the greatest.
What have you done with Jackson?
League.
Who is this guy, and what have you done with Jackson?
Who is this? I'm unaware of this person. It seems like we got rid of Fuller and we lost two guys. We lost Fuller and Jackson. We got rid of Fuller. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if they just had really good chemistry, and then Jalen Johnson, he's just not getting it. I don't know what it is. And I couldn't tell you. And it's very unfortunate for Jackson, because he was about to get a lot of money, I think. And that's very, very unfortunate. And it's just one of those things where, I don't know if we have the talent on the back end to even compete this year for the division. We had a golden opportunity here to steal one. We really did, especially if we would have started Fields. And we couldn't really, like you said, we couldn't even sniff Stafford, sniff him. He wasn't even close to him. And then I think Hicks started to get to him at the end, but at that time, game was out of reach, and it didn't really matter.
By the time the Bears pass rush woke up, it was too late.
So it's just it's a sad story. We do have an easier schedule going forward. The week one was pretty hard, but I just don't know if that's how we look every week, is lost. There's, as you said, if we just look lost every week, then it's going to be a long season for Chicago fans. It's going to be real bad.
Yeah.
At least the Bulls are doing good.
Our special guest of the afternoon is a Charger fan, and it just so happens we have some Charger topics that I can fire off and get his thoughts on. So let's talk about the LA Chargers game one, Jake. Your initial thoughts coming out of that game.
So there are still some things to work on, first off. But you know what, though? I smiled heavily in the very first possession that the Chargers had. They had 75 yards altogether on that specific play. They had 6 different plays that they executed, and they scored the touchdown. It was the cleanest possession I've ever seen this Chargers team do. And I was like, if we do that consistently all season long, we have a chance. We seriously have a chance to do that. It doesn't even and the funny thing of this is the offensive line only allowed 12% of pressures on Justin Herbert, which is the biggest upgrade. And you know what? Like I said, fuck ESPN. Fuck a lot of people who ended up thinking that the Chargers were going to lose the game because it's week one. And they're like, Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic is amazing. Yeah, well, Fitzmagic didn't even last that long in the first quarter.
Fitzmagic didn't last the game. News flash.
Right.
The Chargers ate him alive, and now he's on IR.
Right, exactly. I mean, there are still some cleanups that this Chargers team needs to do. First of all, the run defense. Antonio Gibson was giving us serious problems at times when it came to run defense, and he kept on finding holes that he was going to run through, whether it was just running the football or pass catching. So that was one thing I think the Chargers need to work on and fix to eliminate that in the next outing, because you got Zeke and the Cowboys coming into LA. So I did like the performance Justin Herbert put up with 1 interception, 1 touchdown, and 340 passing yards. But at the same time, what really made me happy is that Brandon Staley in his first ever coaching start was aggressive. He never gave up on plays. He was not conservative. And the best thing was on a 4th and 1, when the Chargers needed it the most to put pressure on Ron Rivera, they gave a quarterback sneak for Justin Herbert to cross the line, and they got the first down. I said, finally, that is it. That is what we needed. Stop getting scared and let the kid play. Like, that's exactly what the Chargers did right. They allowed only 16 points to an opposing offense. I can only imagine what they're going to do against Dallas with Dak, Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, but they better be ready for it by this next up and coming week. But I was very impressed with the offensive line. And by the way, 49 snaps Rashawn Slater played against Chase Young, 0 sacks, 0 pressures, and 0 hits.
So
that's putting a smile
now,
on
I want to throw something at you, Jake. I don't know if you were aware of these numbers, but this is just so. This is by quarter breakdown of the yards per play on first down for the Chargers. So I want to know if this is concerning to you or not. So first quarter, 5.8 yards per play on first down. The second quarter, it goes down to 4.3. The third, 3.2. And then fourth, it ticked up just a little bit to 3.9. So does it concern you that they dropped, or is it just them switching game plan and trying to control clock more than anything?
I think it's a mixture of that. I mean, it is something where they're trying to, manage the clock at times, because first and foremost, you want the lead and you also want the time on your side. I mean, that's initially what coaches do well. You look at Bill Belichick, he loves to control the time, knows how much time that there is in the game, and wants to execute plays to get New England leads. And it's kind of the same even when you look at the opposing Ron Rivera. I mean, he's very defensive minded. That's what was so tough about that defense with Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and even Jermaine Davis. Like, it was a lot of really, really good things that I really liked about how they were executing as far as time management goes. But they are working through that. They're all kind of getting used to everybody. I mean, this is also a year where we've had preseason, we've had OTAs, so we have no idea how everybody's going to click, who their favorite targets are, and how they're going to manage things. So I think that's part of they needed to manage the clock. But at the same time, I'm just very happy that it did not go any lower than that. They were still finding ways to kind of sneak themselves back up to where they were going to stay steady. But I guarantee you, the more and more they work through this, like I said, through week 4, week 5, they're going to find their spots, and they're going to eventually start to get a streak going, and they'll start clicking.
Hopefully. But so far, so good for the Chargers. So far, so good. Once again, though, Jake, I know you got to get rolling because you got your own show to pick up, brother. Thanks for coming on, and we appreciate your time, big guy. We will definitely be working with you again in the future.
Everybody, check out the Snake Sports Talk Show.
If somebody could do me a favor and drop Jake's.
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Yeah, if you could do that. So I'm subscribed. The link to Jake's channel is going to be in the chat. Jake, thanks again, buddy, for the time. And we will definitely be working with you again soon.
Love, Jake.
By the way, fuck your team and see you later.
Oh my God. y'all could go fuck yourselves, but hey, Owen 1? I'm gonna be saying that for a long time, and you both are victims. We finally got the first win. We're in the win column, bitches.
All
All right, buddy. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Peace out, brother. Good to see you.
You son of a bitch.
That was funny.
All right, so
Yeah, that's Jake's channel.
let's
get him to 500.
So let's yeah, so there's Jake's link, guys. So the chat had said it before too. Somebody Abel had said it in the chat that the Spanos is a wild card. It's a lot of it's up to him because he finally has the ship kind of pointed in the right direction, and it's going to be on ownership and coaches to keep it that way. So they do have a point there.
Spanos too. I've heard rumors that they might sell the team. So if that could change everything. You never know.
But I've heard those rumors for like 3 seasons.
That's true.
I don't know.
I've heard that a few times.
I don't know how. I've heard it a couple of like over the years, probably the last 3 seasons. It's kind of got more momentum than usual. But for a while, you know what I mean.
No, yeah, they've said that for a while. It seems like they're clinging on to the team as much as they can. But for the reason why they have to sell it, I guess, is because they're going bankrupt in a bunch of other businesses or something like that. Other hearsay.
If Spanos did sell the team, it might not be a bad thing for LA, for the Chargers. It might not be a bad thing because he's been a big part of the problem for years down out there out west.
I think Chargers fans would love that.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the true like diehard Charger fans that have really followed the team from San Diego to LA and that really do that are real Charger fans. I think they realize how Spanos can be toxic to that team and he's made some questionable moves.
Yeah, no question. You need a good owner to win a championship.
You do.
It's important.
So let's move it down, JD. We're gonna go to the I got a good friend of mine, 49er fan in here. The A-Bomb. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in, bud. So we're gonna talk about the Niners and the Lions game real quick here.
Okay.
Not much to really hit on. Me and you had pretty much said that this was like going to be the Niners were going to take the Lions apart.
Yeah, it was interesting because the Niners did exactly what we thought they were going to do, but then right whenever they kind of slowed up the brakes or whatever, they took
their foot. You could tell when they took their foot off the gas. Then
Goff, and Hawkinson showed what they've been working on, and like we said, Goff is no slouch. He's a pretty good quarterback.
He's middle guy.
He's not terrible. He's not as bad as a lot of people are saying. Give him a good tight end like Hawkinson, he can make some things happen, but obviously the 49ers are so much better in every single way.
But you physically could, if you watch that game, right? If you watch that game, you could physically see that the Niners just were like, they took their foot off the gas and went like they were they were taking that team apart. Like it wasn't like they could have dropped 50 if they wanted.
They could have. They could have done whatever they really wanted to, but I feel like they were just trying to drain the clock towards the end, and the Lions were just like, you know what? Let's get as much momentum.
The Niners gave them the first 10, 15 yards of the field because they knew that for Sam Fran, that's like we know like this is a tune-up, like just a warm-up game for like a game. You know what I mean?
Well, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm not as bummed as I could have been. I feel like it could have been a 41 to like 10.
Yeah, but garbage time doesn't matter. They scored how many points in garbage time where the Niners stopped trying?
I just think that's true. They stopped trying. He said, never blow them out too bad. Show them your cards. I like that. The A-Bomb says it was a tune-up game. Lions came back in the second and the third strings. Yeah, and that's what
I mean. They took their foot off the accelerator. The Niners could have dropped 45 on them with ease.
I just think that the Lions, obviously, like, if you're a Lions fan, God help you. God help you. Good hang out with you, Water King. If you're a Lions fan, God help you. But I think that you could do a lot worse than Jared Goff. That's all I'm trying to say, and TJ Hawkinson. So I think they have something to work with. I just hope that they don't do they don't do to TJ Hawkinson what they did to Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. That's what I hope they don't do, because he is a hell of a talent, and I hope they don't just like run him into the ground. That's all I kind of hope with the Lions, because they're never going to compete.
What do all of these legendary franchises have in common? The Niners, the Steelers, the Niners, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cowboy, like maybe not so much the Cowboys in the last 25 years, but all of the multiple Super Bowl winning team, like all of the teams this probably in the last 20 to 25 years, the owners of the team leave it alone. They let football people do football things.
That's 100% right.
The ownership of the Niners lets the football people make the decisions. And you know, you could tell a poorly run franchise and a franchise that knows what they're doing and how to run things.
Yeah, no question. I think that it's very like Robert Kraft, as much as he wanted to, you know, he only interviewed one time in like the 20 years that Belichick, as far as I know, that Belichick and him were together. And that was when, you know, he wanted to replace Brady at the age of 39. And that was when Belichick wanted to replace Brady. So I think that like that tells you a lot about like what good ownership does. A lot, and then you look on the flip side, Jerry Jones, which I don't think he's the worst owner in the league, but he's awfully obnoxious, and you never really know what you're going to get with the Cowboys because of him, because he says a lot of things. So
he made the worst decision in Cowboys history to let Jimmy Johnson walk out the door.
Oh yeah, and then Bill Parcells too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's had a few guys.
Two legendary coaches, because Jones couldn't swallow his pride and do what good owners do and just sit up in his luxury suite and sign the checks and let the football people worry about football things.
That's what you're supposed to do. As an owner, you're supposed to be a fan. You're not the GM, but Jerry Jones thinks he is the GM. So far, I would say this is the best team he's ever put together. Valhalla is funny.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. At least he's there ain't nothing wrong with that at all.
People freaked out about that. I was like, so? Like, what? What is the problem here? ESPN's like clutching their pearls. Oh my God, he's doing this. Oh my God. It's like, ESPN, you guys are so full of shit.
All right. So one thing that did come out of that Lions game though was Okudah ended up with a ruptured Achilles. Terrible. That's and he's done for the year. He's done for the year. That hurts the Lions. Like that is a major blow to the Lions.
They thought they were going to be bad before, and now they don't even know what they got anymore. They might just have Hawkinson. It's pretty bad. Well,
just on the Okudah, them losing him is that's not good. What's the cornerstone of their D now? You know what I mean?
That's funny. I mean, the Lions playing defense, that's a funny cornerstone. I mean, shoot, the best defensive player.
That's what I'm saying. There is none now.
There's nothing for them. They always seem to have a rookie, and he always ends up on another team. They always have a great, top first-round pick rookie, and he's going to be so good, and then he ends up on another team in 3 years. That's the Lions for you. So I don't know, man. The Lions, I had nothing to say about the Lions. They're just trash.
They're just a poorly run franchise. We've said it over and over in nauseam.
And the Niners are great, so.
They're a very efficient, very well-run, oiled machine. They run it the way it should be. Like, there's a reason they have multiple Super Bowls. There's a reason. There's a reason why they have the amount of they have all those Super Bowl trophies stacked up there. There's a reason.
Yeah, and how can you? I mean, yeah, exactly. They're so consistent, and they hired good people. They hired the good people. They hired Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And, before that, they had Bill Walsh. And, way
I
before
think the
that.
front office of San Fran works well together. That's why they've been as good as they have been for the last couple of seasons. They work well together.
No question. What's the next?
The Goff versus Stafford saga kind of continues here.
That's right.
Stafford, remember how we had talked about that this was going to be a very kind of like interesting storyline to follow through the season because they swapped teams and I don't
think it changed anything. To be honest,
no. I'm trying to McVay. There we go. Sean McVay. He threw a little bit of shade over towards Jared Goff after watching, Stafford's performance there.
What did he say? I missed that.
It was just throwing shade about how he finally has a guy that can execute his system the right way. Yeah.
He's always saying stuff like that. I think there was something to do with they have a beef. They have a beef. Goff and McVay, they don't talk to each other anymore. There was one thing, it's probably bull crap, but we talk about bull crap on this show because why not? Somebody said that Goff was DMing Sean McVay's wife or something like that.
Yeah, I heard those rumors.
Did you hear that? Yeah. So, I mean, it just goes – I think that Sean McVay and Jared Goff legitimately hate each other. It probably stems back to the Super Bowl loss. And I think I put that on McVay. Granted, McVay probably puts it on Goff.
Granted, Jared Goff didn't execute well in that game. But that's because he ran into Bill Belichick.
Yeah, it was an amazing defensive scheme by Belichick. They really did shut them down and tremendous in that game. What was that, 2018, 2019, something like that. And McVay, man, exactly. McVay probably blames Goff, and Goff probably blames McVay. Goff's probably sick of hearing McVay scream, and McVay's probably sick of Goff's passive aggressive attitude and stuff. And I think it's better for everyone. And this is it. McVay has his guy now. There's no excuses now. There's no just like, oh, well, he didn't execute my plays. Well, no, you got a guy. You chose him. You handpicked him. So no excuses now.
I do think Stafford will do better than Goff, though. I do. So too. I think Stafford stands in a pocket and delivers better than Jared Goff does. I think the Rams are a better team with Stafford than they are with Goff.
Valhalla says that he's not even sure the Lions owner know they have a football team. You also have to hire the right guys too. You can't just like hire just like dumb people and let them run your franchise for 20 years. That won't work out either.
It was Belichick's game plan and defense that ultimately did in Goff and in that Goff and the Rams offense. It was he coached circles around Sean McVay that whole game, and McVay, and at the end of the game, McVay knew it.
I just think that there's no way that you could ever tell McVay that. Like, McVay's not going to accept that as an answer. Like, oh, he just is smarter than you. It's like, no, he's going to say Goff was the problem, because in his mind, he's going to think, well, if everyone executed everything perfectly, then it's going to be 100%. Like, there's going to be 41 points on the board. That's what he expects. So if your expectations are messed up, then get a new quarterback.
It is going to be an interesting kind of saga to follow through the season, because the Lions need Goff to perform. Like, they need him to hit, or they're in trouble. They're in trouble if he doesn't play up to his potential. The Lions are going to be in trouble. They need him to perform.
Yeah, I think he had a good day. Yeah,
he did. Yeah. But they need him to deliver week in and week out, game in, game out. He needs to produce.
I think if you literally replaced Goff with Stafford, like on the Lions, no change at all. It would have been the same score. I just think that, as long as everyone's more comfortable, I think Goff probably has more say because he's the big money man in Detroit. And I think that, McVay's happier. So it's kind of like, everyone's happier in this situation, and the Lions suck. And that's just pretty normal. Yeah, same outcome, exactly.
So let's go over to the let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Did you get to watch that game or no?
I was on Red Zone. It was on Red Zone, so I didn't like watch play by play. But man, Aaron Rodgers sucks. That was awesome.
So my first question to you would be: has Rodgers finally hit that wall, or is it one of those instances where he's going to go, relax, guys, it's one game and we can pick it back up? What do you?
I don't know. I don't know
think?
if Relax Guy is back. He was contemplating retirement in the offseason, so I don't know if Relaxed Guy is back. Like if he can, the Relaxed Guy, that was 2017 Rodgers, man. That was like some legit Rodgers right there. And this Rodgers, I don't know, man. He just doesn't look like, he looks like he was overwhelmed, confused, lost, slow, and I don't think it had anything to do with his team, bro. Aaron Jones played well. The offensive line wasn't that bad. Rodgers couldn't make up his mind down his progressions. He just would kind of just hold the ball and wait for the perfect throw, and it never came, and he never made the right throw, and it just wasn't good. I don't know if it's a situation where he needs to, he didn't have a good offseason, obviously, so he needs to work his way into it. But if that's the case, I'm looking at it like, bro, I don't need you, Rodgers. Trade his ass. If you're really gonna come at me like I'm not gonna play well, put Jordan Love in there. Who cares? I'm just saying, I don't think Rodgers is all that anymore.
See, you kind of, me and you are kind of in agreement on one thing, that it was not for lack of time. The O-line was serviceable in that game. They were more than serviceable. That was Rodgers holding on to the football way too long. And also being gun shy to pull the trigger when he needed to.
Valhalla is probably right. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I agree. Rodgers, he didn't pull the trigger. He probably will have a better week next week, I would imagine. I don't think he's totally done, but I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback anymore. He was on the top 100. I think last year everything was clicking on all cylinders. I think that Rodgers really believed, in his heart of hearts, believed last year that they would win the Super Bowl. I think he believed that they had everything. And I think that this year now, he's just demoralized. I think he's just beyond demoralized, and he doesn't actually he doesn't have that fire anymore, man. He doesn't have the fire that he had last year. That once that one play where basically Matt LaFleur trusted the defense over Rodgers. Ever since that play, dude, I think he's checked out. He's been like, you know what, dude, screw this. And he is a diva. Valhalla said it in the chat. He said he'll probably go off next week and ESPN will eat it up because he loves the attention. I can totally see that. His mood swings. He'll probably be in a great mood next week. Everything will be perfect. And all of a sudden, bam, they play really well. So, but if I'm the Packers, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore.
He's been a diva forever, though. Let's be. It's not like his attitude has changed. They just kind of put up with it there in Green Bay because of his skill set.
Yeah, exactly. He really thought last year was the year. He thought it was the MVP, Super Bowl MVP season, and this year, it didn't work out. And I don't know if it will.
Tom Brady said, "No Super Bowl for you.
No Super Bowl for you. No soup for you. No Super Bowl for you." He was the MVP last year. Yeah, exactly. And he thought he would win. He felt like he would win it all. Oops. Come on, get back in there.
Oh, camera cut out.
Okay. Start back up.
All right. So last topic of the podcast before we take fan questions, JD. Let's talk about the Saints. And their dominant win. The defense, the offense, Jameis Winston with 5 touchdowns. Let's talk about that for a second. What were your thoughts on old crab legs there and his performance?
He was locked in. And the thing is, and what I love about it the most, my favorite thing is, because I have Alvin Kamara on fantasy, my favorite thing is the game plan for the Saints is literally just Alvin, Kamara, everything. Just here Alvin, every single play. And I think that that Winston, he took it because what they're doing right now is really good. And I saw Drew Brees talk about it. That's a Super Bowl contending team. I'm going to say it right now. Is Goose here? Your team, Super Bowl. It's possible. There's one reason why. When Jameis is locked in and he has a great running game and he has a play action where the guy's wide open, Jameis is great. The reason why Jameis had all those wide open passes is because Alvin Kamara and the offensive line was just feasting.
Was absolutely torching that defense. Yeah.
150 yards and only 5 touchdowns. So literally he never threw the ball unless it was in the end zone pretty much. Like it was like maybe 3 or 4 throws besides that.
He only threw it 20 times. He went 14
times.
for 20 for 150 and 5 touchdowns.
So 1/4 of his throws were in the end zone, man. So that tells me right there, or yeah, Tony Jones for sure. Well, that run game is what I'm saying is amazing. So they don't need at all to use Jameis at all. They don't need to rely on him. The Bucs were like, all right, we're gonna give Jameis the ball, let him throw us to victory. And Jameis actually wasn't that bad. He threw for 5,000 yards. Problem is, he'd also throw for 3 picks a game, so it wasn't good. But what what's his name? Damn it. Sean Payton's doing is saying, all right, dude, I want to use what you're good at and take away what you're bad at. I'm not going to let you just throw 50 times a game and throw 3 interceptions. I'm going to run the ball 30 times a game, throw it where you're comfortable throwing it, and we're going to get it done. I think this is Sean Payton's just handiwork, and that makes them a Super Bowl contender. The last thing I'll say is Drew Brees talked about it on NBA. Did you see that?
Yeah, they did ask him about it. Yes.
And he was just joking. He's just like, yeah, the over-the-top game is finally back in New Orleans. And he jokes about that. I'm just like, that's great. You can joke about that because it's true. I mean, his arm was deteriorating.
Well, I think the bigger surprise was the defense.
Oh, God, they were incredible.
The Saints' defense was incredible.
That much great. Against Rodgers, they made him look like shit. They made him look like dog shit. So
they did. I think the bigger granted, Jameis Winston performed well, and they called a great game for, hit on it. They called a great game for Jameis, where they didn't put him into situations where it was throwing balls that he felt comfortable with, and in places on the field where he could throw it accurately. They put him in the best shape to succeed.
Yeah, they did. They used the strengths and they maximized everyone else on the team. I think that's what they did. They really, everyone played on all cylinders. And I wonder a little bit, and I hate saying this because I would never really think this in a million years if I didn't just see that performance. I wonder if Drew Brees held them back a little bit last year. I wonder if he held this team back just a tad.
Well, there was probably some loyalty there, loyalty there for what Drew meant to the team, to the organization, to the city. I don't know if I'd say it held him back, but there was definitely some loyalty there where I think they felt that they wanted Drew to leave on his terms and they didn't want to force him out they wanted him to go his way.
He deserves that.
It's
respect.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I say about the Saints, but their defense against Rodgers was phenomenal. Their usage of, like you said, Jameis Winston's strengths, throwing it to the spots on the field where he felt comfortable with, taking the shots down the field when he felt ready and comfortable to do it. I think they managed him very, very well in that game. And the play calling for New Orleans, I thought, was great.
Well, what's amazing about that is, and the reason why I say this is a Super Bowl contending team is because really all you need is to become a Super Bowl team, right? You need just to become like a multi-dimensional team, right? Like offensively and defensively. And defensively, they're phenomenal. So that you don't need to worry about that. But offensively, they have Winston over the top. They have a few good plays that Winston can execute. And they have an Alvin Kamara and Jones and have a strong offensive line. So when you have all those things going for you, you can't just game plan for Alvin Kamara. You can't just game plan for Winston either. So if you can't cover, you have to cover over the top and the front now. And I think Sean Payton has executed this perfectly. He realizes what he has, and he's maximizing its potential. And that's why I could see it going all the way.
Now, the chat brought up a good point. I think we forget that Aaron Rodgers participated in no off-season things for the Packers whatsoever.
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, I blame him for that. Yeah,
and it clearly, I mean, obviously in the game, obviously it clearly showed that he, and then you combine that with his like smug attitude, and it doesn't make for good. Like that was never going to end well.
He said something on the Pat McAfee show that was very telling. He said, a guy of my stature, and then he alluded to the Hall of Fame in the future. So I think that Rodgers is done with football. I really do. I don't think I think that mentally he's done with football. I think that when LaFleur screwed him over last year, that was him literally. He pushed it aside. And now when he's trying to bring it back, it's not the same mentally. Physically, he may have all the same gifts, but I don't know, man. 3 collarbone surgeries. I don't know, man. We'll see.
He does that though. Like that's been his MO forever. Like let's be honest. He's just a guy. Let's be honest, JD. He's just a prick. Like the guy's just a prick. He is.
I'm a Bears fan. I agree.
That's just his mentality. He's just a prick. Like he don't care about anybody but himself. Like seriously, it's just how he is. He's always been like that.
I kind of agree. I wouldn't want him as my quarterback right now. I just wouldn't.
He's too selfish.
He's toxic. He's very talented, but he's toxic. And you really have to. They were all locked in last year, man. And Tom Brady just took a crap on their parade, man. That's what it was. They were ready for it last year. That was it. That was the year. And now it's just all come crashing down, I think. And I think it's sad because they do have all the same talent. But I think that his mentality, I wonder if they would have been better off if he would have just retired. I wonder. I'm curious about that. Like, would they be better off if he would have retired and it would have been Jordan Love? Do you think there would have been any difference in that game?
I did say the same thing about Jason Tatum. I said he was mentally soft and that he's got a head like a freaking rock, and I stand by it. I didn't say he wasn't talented. He's absolutely talented. Tatum's one of the better players in the league, but he's as soft as baby shit when it comes to mental toughness.
That's funny.
And I'll stand by it, and I'll say it again. Until he proves me wrong, I'll keep saying it.
So I'm overreacting to this Packers game. I'm going to go ahead and say the Packers suck. Now,
until Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers for a long time now, JD, or at least 5 seasons, how Aaron Rodgers goes is how the Packers go. So if Aaron Rodgers is all over the place mentally and not locked in and not concentrating and not wanting to be a part and buy into the team atmosphere, the Packers are going to struggle. That's
holding on the ball too much.
It's been like that for 5 seasons. How Aaron Rodgers does is how the Packers do. That offense revolves around his skill set. And if it's not locked in and not there, they're going to struggle.
It's unfortunate for them. Good for me though.
Good for the rest of that division.
Maybe we can get our crap together. We have a lot of crap to get together though. So
that's all the topics that I got. JD, do you have any that you wanted to add in there?
Man, we really touched on all of it. It's been a great show, and it's been an interesting week. I'm just interested. Yeah, I'm excited.
Week 1 was a very good week. There was a lot of good football being played.
I just hope that sooner or later we get Fields in. That's all I can say. I just want to get Justin in.
I said week 4.
Yep,
and I think it would be the best. I think it's the best time for you guys to make the move because it's a cupcake of a it's a cupcake game. It's a cupcake game. It's the Lions. You guys should that's the best time to bring Fields in. He'll have 3 full games of watching tape and watching how defenses react to certain situations. He'll have processed 3 full games at that point. You know what I mean?
At that point,
it'll be the best time to bring him in for him to succeed right away?
I don't know exactly like who. This is the last thing I'm going to say about the Bears. I'll wrap it up with this. I don't know. Like Matt Nagy mentioned with the Chiefs, he's like, okay, well, we had Alex Smith and then we brought in Patrick Mahomes. That's what we're going to do with Justin Fields. This isn't the Chiefs. We aren't good. I don't know where he thinks he is. We're not good. We're not a good team. We're just not. So put him in because we're not good and just let him fail. Like I that's just the weird thing to me. I don't like
let him take his bumps and bruises and learn.
Well, he's acting like Andy Dalton is like Alex Smith, like he's going to bring us to the playoffs. He's not. He's not going to do that. So once you have accepted that Andy Dalton isn't going to bring you to the playoffs, then you can move on to, okay, well, who could maybe bring us to the playoffs? Maybe the rookie can. That's pretty much it. Honestly, Nick Foles has a better chance of bringing us to the playoffs. Just saying.
The unknown. Yeah.
I'd take the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's almost like there's a higher ceiling there. Even though it's an unknown, the possibility of having a higher ceiling is there.
I think there's no question there's a higher ceiling. I just think there's no – they're not on the same level, Karam. They're just not. Like, we're not yet. We hope to be someday, but, like, we need to stop thinking like we're just this perennial playoff team. We're not. We're a borderline 50-50
a bubble team.
Bubble team, yeah, that needs that. Right now, we're on the – I think we're trending downward on talent-wise. So with that being said, give the ball to the rookie. If he messes up,
let him roll with it and see if he can use his playmaking ability to make something happen.
Exactly. No, that's all I can say.
So let's we're gonna end the show like we usually do. We'll take some questions from fans and then we will wrap it up.
Yes, sir. What do you guys got? What do you guys want to talk about for a bit? He said Nagy's worried
that Fields will crash and burn like Rosen or Darnold did. He wants him to sit this year. And
you might be right. He might be thinking that. And if he is thinking that, I would tell him this. I'd be like, dude, Fields is much more talented than Rosen, much more. And I think he's more confident and poised than Darnold is. So he's already more poised. The reason why you sit a guy is because he's not poised.
Or he's not, or you feel like he's not ready.
Yeah, you just feel like he's not mentally ready. Justin is mentally ready for this. I just don't know if like he is talented enough to like bring us to the playoffs. He's mentally ready to start though. I feel like this is inarguable, but I don't know. Maybe I haven't met any Bears fan I haven't met anyone supporting the Bears besides Matt Nagy.
See, like, I think a lot of where the Bears like want for Justin Fields comes from is that they see the potential sitting there, and it's like they haven't had that type of potential in a long time.
Ever. I don't think ever. So you basically think that, okay, so you think that we're like a guy with low self-esteem going to talk to a really pretty girl. We're like a guy just being like, do you want to go? Maybe we'll go out. We go hang out maybe, and then we'll see what happens and stuff. So, but Fields is like, no, yeah, let's go out. Let's do this. And we're just like,
no, that's a good analogy. I like that.
And we're just frozen. We're like, no, we're going to go hang out with our ugly girlfriend instead, actually. This ugly girlfriend who throws interceptions and sucks.
Oh, that was good. That was good right there.
That's the best I could think of. So we're just like we're shook. We can't handle it.
So here's the Patriots will go 9-7 this year. I think that is possible. 9 wins, I think, would be. I think 9 wins is doable for. And actually, it would have to be 9-8 because there is 17 games. So.
Oh yeah. I was about to say you better add a winner.
Even though we lost to the Dolphins, I'm still putting the Patriots at 10-7.
I'm gonna go 9-8 now because I had them penciled in to win. I had them penciled in to win that one. So you think you're gonna pick up a win?
I put them at 10-7 from the start, and I'm gonna stick with it. And here's why: the issues that plagued the Patriots in week 1 are coachable, correctable, and it's not like they're like catastrophic. They made a lot of stupid mistakes and penalties, which Belichick will clean those penalties up. They won't be, that won't exist. The linebacking core, they can correct that, and I'm sure they will. If not fully, then it'll definitely get better. And after week 6, they're going to have Stephon Gilmore back. So I think they're going to be able to adjust how they play on defense a little bit. Maybe the defense was out of position a little bit because of the lack of, Gilmore in the shutdown corner. So all of most, if not all of the Patriots issues that plagued them and caused the loss, can be fixed. So I'm still sticking with my initial prediction, 10-7.
So pick it up and fight for the playoff. I mean, Belichick, he's gonna be like, they're not gonna have an easy week of practice. There's gonna be a lot of fumble drills and just like there's gonna be a lot of stuff that he's gonna fix. So I agree with you. I think there's a lot of easy, simple things they can fix.
So here's a question: who is the rookie of the week?
Rookie of the week?
Or
Maybe
rookie of the year.
but...
Excuse me. Who is the rookie of the year after week 1? So which rookie produced the best in week 1? Do you want my Homer answer, or do you want me to be
My Homer,
my Homer answer says Mac Jones, 29 of 39, 74% completion percentage, no interceptions, 1 touchdown.
Justin Fields, because he's just too great, and he scored a touchdown without even trying, and it was just he's his entire organization's holding him back, so he's the MVP. I'm just kidding.
I'll give you. I'll be realistic though. I was very impressed with a lot of rookies.
Yeah,
Micah Parsons played exceptionally well in that that Dallas and Bucks game. Micah Parsons was all over the field for the Cowboys. He that kid showed me a lot in that game. I think Parsons for Dallas is going to be a really it could end up being one of the cornerstone pieces of that defense. Trevor Lawrence played very well too. The only downside is he threw 3 picks.
Hit a couple nice throws, but yeah, it's going to be tough.
But a lot of the rookies did. Even Zach Wilson didn't have too bad of a day either for the Jets, even though I believe they lost as well.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. They're on 2 really bad franchises. It's just
the Jets and Jags are going to be bad for a long time, like years. The rebuilds for both of those teams are in no way, shape, or form close to being over.
So Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons is probably he said Jamar Chase too. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it seems to be the consensus. And then Mac Jones, he definitely had a good game, I would say. There's a lot of potential there.
No, you're definitely right. There's a lot. I completely forgot about Chase. He had himself a good game as well. Eric says, do you guys have a favorite baseball and hockey team? So I am all Boston. I have the Celtics, the Bruins, the Red Sox, and the Patriots. JD?
I guess the Blackhawks are my favorite hockey team. I don't watch hockey very often. If I do, it's the playoffs. And for baseball, definitely the Cubs. I've been a Cubs fan since I was a little kid. And same thing. I don't watch a ton of baseball, a lot more than hockey though. But basketball, I watch probably every single team in the NBA, as well as some EuroLeague and some NBL and some other stuff. So I watch a lot of basketball, and then football, I watch all the teams too. So
all of the Bears, Chicago Bears, right?
I watch all the Bears games. I watch the Bucks. I watch every game I can see pretty much with the NFL. Yeah, Jamar Chase was great. Yeah, no question. I think the Bengals were impressive, very impressive, because they're facing a more experienced team, and they answered the call, man. They answered the call, and they had a lot of talent. That talent wasn't as for instance, I think that Herbert is more talented than Cousins. Or not Herbert, I'm sorry. Burrow. I think Burrow is more talented than Cousins. And I think that he had, what was it, 20 for 27? He had a great game, especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
Especially in the overtime. They were just, it was clean. It was very clean. So it was very impressive for these young guys. Like Burrow's poise is something special.
He's going to be, if they could ever get him an offensive line, he could be something.
It'll be very interesting. Grabbed his knee after. I didn't see that. Wow, that's not good.
If that's true, then that's not good.
That's not good. Not good at all.
But I think that'll do it for episode 8, guys. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Me and JD appreciate it as we rolled through all of the agenda for this one. And we had our special guest. Once again, thanks to Jake Silva, Jake the Snake.
Appreciate
thanks for coming on and talking and being a guest on the show. And we will definitely be working with him and a couple other guys in the future as well. So, but this was fun, guys. Once again, me and JD appreciate all of the continued support of the channel. And if you want to listen to a specific segment of the channel, JD, as always, the I-90 Sports Talk for his channel. He chops them up and edits them into specific segments. So, JD, put your channel link in there. So if they want to watch a specific segment, they know where to go.
Yes, sir. We got I'll be chopping this one up next because there's not much more I have to chop up from the other episodes. But here you go.
That way, you guys can basically watch the segments the different segments that we do without having to watch the whole podcast on a playback.
Yes.
So exactly. there's JD's channel. That's where the edited version. So he'll have the playback one, the full one, or you'll have the playback, and then you'll have the segments chopped up on there as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just it's basically like what we're talking about. It's like 6 to or anywhere from like 4 to 15-minute videos, something like that. And we just you just cut it up into the different segments. So if you guys are interested in rewatching a segment that we did, it's easy to just go over to his channel and just click it and pull it up. My favorite one right now is Justin Fields will start in week 4. I like that because it's
I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, it's the best opportunity for him to come into the offense and immediately make an impact and succeed and get a winning and get his confidence up.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for watching, Rick. Thanks for watching Viking and Karam and Eric and everybody else who tuned in, Water King, everybody else. You guys are awesome. Best chat on YouTube as always. We got about 15 people watching. That was awesome. Good to hang out.
Thanks again though, guys. Appreciate the continued support. Viking, Rick, Karam, Eric, guys, thank you again for the continued support. We always appreciate it, and thank everybody for tuning in and watching. And we will catch you next time for episode 9.
9. All right, let's go.
And thanks again, guys. Me and JD are out of here. Final word?
Bear fucking down, baby. We still got to go, baby. We got to win. Let's go.
Let's go. Forever New England and go Pats. We're out of here, guys. Take it easy.